Hello everybody, this is Napa Fan here, and we are here to qualify from the Michigan International Speedway, and tomorrow's NOFSRL 500, going to be at noon Eastern Time tomorrow right here on Napa Fan, the third Crown Jewel event of the season. Josh Marzek won the Daytona 500, Mark Davidson won the Coke 600, and we'll have to see who wins the third of the Crown Jewels this season. And it's the NOFSRL 500. This race used to be the NRLOA 500, but now we're under the NOFSRL, so it changes names to the NOFSRL 500. But it's still the same big event. It's just got a new name. Going to be 50 laps of action tomorrow. Going to be a fun one, and we are here to qualify for the NOFSRL 500. This is uncharted qualifying right here. Top two fastest drivers will advance onto the show and race in tomorrow's 50-lap event. Stephen Thompson, the first driver out there on the racetrack in the number 97. Here's Zachary DeLello in the number 67 coming out of the racetrack. Angel Oliveira in the 46. They're the only three guys out on the racetrack at the moment. Stephen Thompson, I believe he's made more starts than anybody this season with 6 starts. And he's looking to make his 7th start of the season and the 16th race of the season here in the Chick-Fil-A Cup Series. It's been a pretty decent run for Stephen Thompson here. Where Stephen Thompson, a full-time driver in the Rockstar Pro Series this season. Same with Zachary DeLello. DeLello hasn't really had too much luck this year on Navafan. Has yet to receive a championship point over in the Rockstar Pro Series. We'll have to see what he does at Le Mans on, I think, Wednesday. But, other than that, it's not been a good season for him over there, and he's made a couple starts so far this season in the Chick-Fil-A Cup Series, but not too many. And the speeds these guys are going to be going at this weekend are going to be impressive. This is, I think, the first race we've had all season where we actually have the strength set up to 110%. So these guys are really going to be whipping it around this racetrack. You can already see the lap times. 35 seconds. This is a 2-mile racetrack, and they're going 35 seconds around this place, so it is definitely going to be a wild race tomorrow. We could see some big wrecks. We could see some pit strategy. You just don't know what to expect. Last season, the wreck happened during green flag pit stop, the final set of green flag pit stops, and it ended the race early, and Stuart Grattan came home with the race victory. And that would be Grattan's final career Chick-Fil-A Cup Series race win. This race tends to favor the veterans. Elijah Gordon won this thing in Season 6. Forget who won it in Season 5, though. We'll have to check on that. But either way, fastest guy in town is now the 97 machine of Stephen Thompson. Colton Yo is second fastest in the number 98. He's got Nick Smith right behind him. There's Julio Cesar. Julio Cesar and Christian Russell both advanced in at Pocono. Christian Russell has actually qualified his way into 2 races in a row in that number 62 machine, so they've been doing a pretty good job there. They finally figured it out for Christian Russell in American Motorsports. And on top of that, he actually finished 3rd, I do believe, in the Herds Live Life with Flavor 400, so had a really good run at Pocono. We'll have to see if that momentum carries on here at Uncharted qualifying. Right now, Daniel Voiles and Angel Oliveira, the 2 fastest drivers. Voiles under 35 seconds. But he's getting a really good draft up the number 46 here. We'll have to see if anybody else has a draft. I think this 62 might get one here. I think he's at the perfect distance to draft right on the Julio Cesar. Probably the next time by. We'll have to see how it goes for him. But this could be a very fast lap for Christian Russell starting right now. We'll follow with the 62 here and see where he ends up qualifying. He's going to advance his way into the 3rd position. That's still quite not enough to advance on, but if he stays behind Julio Cesar here, he might be able to move himself into one of those top 2 positions. Off of turn number 2, he is definitely closing in here on Julio Cesar, who's ahead of him. And he might close up right to the back bumper here on this lap, but he's definitely getting a draft. And in a place like this where there really isn't much slow time at Michigan, you really only slow through the corners just a little bit, the draft is going to play a major factor into who gets the race victory. Christian Russell with that lap right there advanced to 5th, but oh, no, he went to 2nd. He went to 2nd with it. It didn't update in time. He is now the 2nd fastest guy, with Daniel Voiles still fastest. Christian Russell 2nd fastest in the number 62. And we'll have to see if that time will stand for the 62 machine These guys are passing each other right now, so I wouldn't expect either of them to advance their time, and nobody else is drafting. Colton Yo calling it a day. He's third. It's a tough break there for Colton Yo. He's not going to advance on to the NOFSRL 500. Christian Russell with a really fast time right there, and I called it. I can tell by the way he was behind that number 10 machine that he would get a pretty fast time, and it's looking like that's the way it's going to be. Daniel Voiles with the fastest time in uncharted qualifying, and then Christian Russell with the second fastest time. But now with these guys starting to pass each other here, they're not going to get any faster times than that, and that's how it's going to go down. So how about that for Christian Russell, his third straight race where he's qualified his way in. And if you remember at the beginning of the season when we had all those qualifying sessions earlier on, he could not make it in for anything. The first race he was in was Talladega and didn't even actually qualify for that race because we just put him in. But since the Coke 600, Christian Russell has been doing an excellent job in these uncharted qualifying sessions, and he is going to go for his third straight race here in the Chick-Fil-A Cup Series, his fourth race of the season. He'll join Daniel Voiles in the field for the NOFSRL 500. So those two drivers will join the rest of the full-time guys to see who wins the pole right now here from the Michigan International Speedway. Alright, here we go to set the starting lineup for the 2019 NOFSRL 500. And like I said, one of the crown jewel events of the season here from Michigan. It's going to be a blast tomorrow at noon Eastern Time. Right now, we're going to set the field for tomorrow's 50-lap event. This is for the pole, and Alexander Rose, the first driver out there. The thing is, you want a drafting partner in this qualifying session if you're going to get a good lap time. We saw that in the uncharted session with Christian Russell and Daniel Voiles. They both had drafting partners late in the going, and because of that, they advanced on and are qualifying right now for the pole. A lot of guys coming out onto the racetrack. Last year's winner of this race was Stuart Gratton. He's got a development driver in this year, and the year before that was Elijah Gordon. He has a development driver in this race as well. And there she is, Emily Anderson in number 5, trying to keep the EGI team rolling. Her teammate won last week at Pocono, John Arndt, the dominating performance at the Tricky Triangle. Now, Anderson's been doing a great job this season. She's third in the points, 25 points off her points leader, Nathan Baird. And this is a good race for her. Of course, this is where Elijah Gordon grabbed his second career Chick-Fil-A Cup Series victory. In the season he won his first championship in this very race car, I do believe. It was the Liftmaster scheme. So, we'll have to see what Emily Anderson can do as this race goes along. And as this weekend goes along, but I have a lot of high hopes for this weekend. I think she's going to possibly be a threat. Now, I don't know about that, but we'll just have to see. Doing pretty fast right now, but like I said, you got to have a drafting partner if you're going to get a good lap. Got Brad Stover drafting off of John Andrews there. You got Patrick Smith back in here. Now, Patrick Smith, he won at Phoenix earlier this season, but since then it has not been a good season for the North State Racing driver. Whereas both North State guys have won races this season. Mitchell Henderson got the win at Kansas, and of course Patrick Smith won at Phoenix, but not been the best of seasons for Patrick Smith, even though he grabbed his first career Chick-Fil-A Cup Series victory earlier in March. Gotta find the fastest guy at the moment. That is Diego Yepes in the 92, who won at Auto Club earlier this season, so it's no surprise to see him be fast here. This is by far the closest racetrack in similarities to Auto Club, but Andrew Miller is taking that top position away. They're still not as fast as they were in the Uncharted session, and usually these guys end up being faster than the Uncharted guys. But there's Andrew Miller in the 47, currently the fastest guy in town, drafting off the number 12 machine of Michael Canto, who started on the pole last week at Pocono. And then you got the car that won this race last year, driven by Mitchell Henderson. Stuart Gratton won this race last year in the number 25 after he stayed out, I think. No. I don't know. I forget how it happened. He's actually now the fastest guy, Mitchell Henderson is, but Justin Roberts came and took that away from him. But I forget how last year's race went. I think Stuart Gratton was one of the last guys to come down the pit lane, and I think he actually either he had already made his stop or Aaron Walpole was the last guy on or something real strange, and I can't actually quite remember how it happened. But Stuart Gratton was not one of the dominant guys in that race, and he ended up coming home with a victory in this one. And Mitchell Henderson's already won a race this season. And Henderson's doing pretty good in the points as well. I believe he's around 12th, 13th place, so not too bad so far this season for Mitchell Henderson and North State Racing. Fastest guy is now the number 38 of Justin Roberts. He's drafting off of Alexander Rowe right here. Christian Master is second fastest, and he's right behind the 38. Then you have Tristan Allen in the number 3. Alexander Rowe in the 06. Daniel McMillan, John Art, Nicholas Amadio, Sebastian Cucalon, the first rookie in qualifying so far. The top seven, all veteran drivers, and not only are they veterans, they've been around for a long time. All the top 7 right there. Then you got Sebastian Cucalon. Now you have Nathan Baird in 9th, our points leader, and somebody just moved himself up. That was Cucalon, who is now in the 6th position. As you can see him drafting off of Emily Anderson and Christian Russell. Russell 9th fastest right now. He's been doing a great job as of late in that number 62 for American Motorsports. Of course, we mentioned in the Uncharted session, it's his 3rd straight race he's qualified for here in the Chick-Fil-A Cup Series. And his 4th race in 7 races, I do believe. So he's been doing a pretty good job in that number 62. Got a 3rd place finish last week. There's John Arndt, 19-time Napa fan winner. John Arndt won his 6th career Chick-Fil-A Cup Series race last week at Pocono. He is right now 7th fastest here in Michigan, and if he were to get the race victory, he would become the all-time winningest driver on Napa Fan and surpass Garrett Sonor for the honor. These two guys put up a pretty good time right there. Jonathan Skibnicki, now 6th. Jesse Turner is now 8th. Carter Friesen just went to 10th. A lot of veterans up front right now here in qualifying for the NOFSRL 500. Jesse Turner's had a really tough season in that number 77. I know he's a guy who'd love to get a race victory. Driving for Otter Island Motorsports. Take a look and see where Emily Anderson is. She's 18th right there. Our points leader, Nathan Baird, has the points lead by 24 points. Of course, Baird finished 2nd at Pocono. Almost got to John Arndt in that race. Couldn't quite do it. But he's right now 14th fastest right now with a 24-point lead ahead of Mark Davidson. Mark Davidson's actually right behind him. And Davidson is currently, if you look on the board, see where he is, 23rd fastest, and not the best of runs for him. For Garrett Sonor, the number 16, we actually want to really focus on Garrett Sonor because Garrett Sonor is kind of the reason why this race exists. I forget, it was season 3, we were actually doing things where you pick the sponsors for the races, and at the time, of course, Chick-Fil-A Cup Series was under the NRLOA, and he suggested the NRLOA 500 in Michigan, and that really got me thinking, why not? Originally, the race was only going to be a 400, and then we decided to go with 500 because of that name change that Garrett suggested, and it's stuck ever since. Of course, this year, under a new league, the NOFSRL. But Garrett Sonor, thank you once again for kind of making this event possible. It gave me the idea for it, and it's been a pretty fun one. I love this race here in Michigan. Definitely a great event. Lots of passing, lots of strategy, sometimes big wrecks. It's just an all-around good race every single year for the Chick-Fil-A Cup Series, and we're looking forward to see it happen again. He's 22nd fastest right now, not too bad for Garrett Sonor, trying to get his first win in over 3 years in the Chick-Fil-A Cup Series. But one guy who's been doing a pretty good job this season, he's actually 5th in the points coming into this race, is Justin Roberts. 51 points behind coming in. He won at Richmond, actually led every single lap at Richmond earlier this season to take home, I think it was his 5th career Chick-Fil-A Cup Series win. Might have been his 4th. I think it was actually just his 4th, but he is right now the fastest guy, and he's on the provisional pole right now with Christian Master, Tristan Allen, Alexander Rowe, Daniel McMillan, Jonathan Skibnicki, the 13 of Sebastian Cucalon, Josh Marzak, a guy we have not talked about too much this season at all. Since his Daytona 500 win, he has really not done a good job in the points this season, but he is now in the 8th position. Then you have Jesse Turner in 9th, and last week's winner, John Arndt, in the 10th position. Carter Friesen, Mark Davidson, Nicholas Amadio, Christian Russell, Roger Ray. Of course, this is the hometown race for the Zidell Motorsport team. They're still going for their first ever Chick-Fil-A Cup Series victory. I mean, they got a really solid lineup with Sam Amadio, Master, and Roger Ray. They have yet to cross the line first in the Chick-Fil-A Cup Series race. And we'll have to see what they can do Sam Adio is 13th, Roger Ray is 15th. They're both on the inside lane. I'd watch out for those guys. Of course, Master is 2nd. Completely forgot about him. So they have a decent shot at getting a good finish tomorrow and maybe even getting the race victory in the biggest, or one of the biggest races of the season. Not the biggest race of the season. That's the Daytona 500. But, you know, I venture to say this is bigger than the Coke 600, and it's probably a little bit bigger than the Indianapolis race, so I think it's pretty safe to say this is the 2nd biggest race of the year for the Chick-Fil-A Cup Series. A big deal here in Michigan to win the NOFSRL 500, and some of the best have won it, like Stuart Gratton, like Elijah Gordon. Trying to think of others, but I can't remember any of the other events that we've had here. No, Annie Thomas won this race in Season 4. I can't remember who won it in Season 5. I have to go back and check, and I can't remember who won the first one. Oh, John Arndt won the first one, because the first one was at Spartan. So yeah, this race is won by some of the best drivers. Elijah Gordon, Stuart Gratton, John Arndt. Those are some pretty big names. Of course, the first one we had at the 1 Mile Spartan Speedway. It originally was going to be at Michigan that year. We decided to change it, and it went back to Michigan. The first official NOFSRL 500 was at, or first official NRLOA 500 in Michigan was Season 4 when Annie Thomas won. I still don't remember who won Season 3, though. But I do know that Justin Roberts in the number 38 is going to start on the pole position for tomorrow's 50-lap event here from the Michigan International Speedway. Posting a time of 34.526, and these guys are going to be lighting it up around this racetrack. They are going to be going super fast. I think a minimum of 120 or 195 through the corner, and they're hitting the corner 215. So it is going to be wild out there. It is going to be fast, but it definitely opens a possibility for a lot of crazy things, like some crazy wrecks to happen on the racetrack. So it's going to be a fun one, and it'll be Justin Roberts leading the field to the green flag for the 16th race of the season in season number 8 of the NOFSRL Chick-Fil-A Cup Series. That's going to do it right there. Justin Roberts on the pole for Michigan. Go look at the official standings right there. That's how they're going to line up for tomorrow's NOFSRL 500. And it does not appear that we have any ties. Stapleton and Miller. Miller will have the advantage on Stapleton with that one. And other than that, Wyatt Quayle and Diego Yepez also tie. We'll have to go into the points and check that one. But other than those two ties, that is how they will line up for tomorrow's 50-lap event for the NOFSRL 500, and it will be Justin Roberts leading the field of the green flag for the 2nd biggest race of the season in the Chick-Fil-A Cup Series. A big deal to win this one, and Roberts looking to get one here at Michigan for his 2nd win of the season. Thank you guys so much for watching. I think later on today, in less than an hour, we got ourselves the IndyCar Series from Texas, and I'm pretty sure we're going to have Jesse Turner in the booth with us for that one, so I'm really looking forward to doing that race with the first ever winner on Napa Family. Did a few races last year. He's a great co-commentator, and he's going to call the action from Texas. That thing is going to be wild, by the way. They're going to be passing like crazy at Texas, like it always is. Their first race after the Indianapolis 250, so we'll have to see how it all goes down for the Haas IndyCar Series in their 2nd half of the season, because they're hitting the halfway point in the 2019 season. But either way, tomorrow at noon Eastern Time, it's the NOFSRL 500, and Justin Roberts will be leading the field to the green flag. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys later for the IndyCar Series from Texas, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for the 16th race of the season in the Chick-Fil-A Cup Series. I will see you guys later.